At what point did I realize Motive Power was different? Say from day one, conversations with the interviewees, pretty quickly realized that I'm talking to folks from a company that's unique. Certainly through the interview process I learned that, and so I would say I knew that from the very beginning. All a very positive experience, and since then it's just been upward from there.
I realized Motive Power was different about a month and a half after I'd started working here, and I just realized how collaborative and helpful everybody was, and what a great team it was here.
The first point I realized that Motive Power was different than other companies was probably within the first month. Realized that Motive Power really embraces people's uniqueness. There's not really a sense to feel like you have to conform to anything, but just being comfortable being yourself.
So when did I realize Motive Power was different? I would say, very honestly, the first few weeks even, I worked on a project directly with Nick Hague, and it was just the two of us working in Montreal. And just Nick's desire to help teach me different things I didn't know and guide me along the way was already a very big difference from the large consulting firm I came from before, and so that stood out to me very quickly at the start. Then once I met Angel and came out to San Francisco and met the rest of the team, it was very apparent quickly as well. My first exposure with the rest of the team was at the A's game the first time around. Meeting the whole team and seeing how everyone worked together was very, very different from what I've seen in the past. I found that very refreshing. And I actually had a similar thought maybe a month ago. I was out with a friend who works for a big company called Deloitte, you guys should know. And they were talking about how they weren't getting one small thing they wanted, and so they're going to start looking around for a new job. And I found that very different from how I've grown to feel about Motive Power, where if there's one small thing I'm not getting, I go and I find a way to get that, as opposed to just looking at it, it's a job and it's somewhere I can leave and go somewhere else for it.
I realized Motive Power was different the first week I came into work. I was embraced by all my coworkers, and they offered, a supporting hand on helping me in my success.
Well, I realized that Motive Power was different about a month into working for the company. I had just graduated from school and was working on a gas contract at the time, and really the defining moment was the day after the 2014 Christmas party. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. However, the day after there was a really big storm in the Bay Area and Northern California in general. And so, there had been a lot of notices given out, and Angel actually sent out an email to the entire company saying that everyone should work from home because she didn't want us out there traveling to and from work, and really wanted us to be safe and stay at home. And at that point, I really realized that she genuinely cares about our well-being.
At what point did I realize Motive Power was different? To be honest, it happened during the interview process. Everyone I talked to, so I talked to Nick, I talked to Ken, I talked to Jim, the three of them, just very, very energetic and just excited about what they were doing, and that really spoke to me. To be frank, I wasn't entirely sure what I would be doing when I was hired, but just sort of drawn to the energy of the people, especially even in the final interview. That's what really drew me to Motive Power, and that's when I knew that this was different than anything else I had ever come across.
I realized that Motive Power was different when, the time when we had a dinner before one of our monthly meetings, which we have, of course, you can guess, once a month, and we're meeting in Fresno, and we had a dinner at one of the restaurants in the town, and we all got together, and we have groups in different geographic locations across, the client's needs and locations, and seeing everybody interact was where I could really see how this company was different. Seeing the different geographic locations just meet together as if they all worked out of the same office. That's really kind of the point in which I knew it was different.
The point I realized Motive Power was different from some of the other companies I worked for was one day I think it was a Friday afternoon, I was finishing up my work and I saw a text come from Angel. I had never received a text from a CEO of a company I'd worked for before that wasn't when something went wrong. It was more just wanting to know how I was doing. She knew that I was moving from across the country, and it felt kind of nice. Between that and on the first day when they mentioned, oh, by the way, we're going to Cabo in August for the company retreat, those were a couple things that let me know that Motive Power was a little different from some of the companies I've worked for in the past.
The moment I realized Motive Power was different was obviously during my interview. I was offered a beer, and I knew that wasn't very typical, and I thought it was a joke at first, but I realized they were serious. But
the actual moment that I really felt a huge difference with Motive Power was the moment that I called Angel to tell her that I was pregnant, and I got nothing but overwhelming support and excitement.
I realized Motive Power was different when I moved out here in the East Coast about a month before I started working, and I got an email out of the blue saying, hey, come hang with us at this baseball game, company event. And I was like, this is kind of crazy. I don't even work here. I'm going to these free office events. I showed up. Everyone absolutely didn't know me, but they were all friendly, and it was a good time.
I realized Motive Power was different at my very first interview with the leadership team. I walked up after their lunch in the old 88 Howard office, and they started cracking open beers and pouring wine. And I think at that point I really realized this was one of those different companies.
I realized Motive Power was different than the interview. When everybody was laid back sitting on a couch and Angel was sipping on a beer, right away I noticed that this company was totally different.